These days it's all too easy to get caught up in the search for a new and exciting recipe, and then we tend to overlook the oldie but goodies that we've been making for a long time. So this recipe is a cake that I've been making for 30 plus years, again the same sort of thing, and it's a favourite in our household. Once it was called a boiled sultana cake, but these days I tend to put different ingredients in. Same total of fruit, but a few different things. So what I'm using today, a total of about 600 grams of fruit. I've got a few currants and some chopped apricots, some cranberries, some golden sultanas, and some raisins. So a real mix of fruit. You just add whatever you're feeling like at the time, or what you've got in your cupboard, and then some lemon peel. I know a lot of people don't like peel, so perhaps just leave that out. Just put in basically whatever you fancy. But the total 500 to 600 grams, or even a little bit more, of fruit. Now this is just covered with cold water and then brought to the boil and simmered for about 15 minutes.
Okay.
So the fruit has simmered for about 15 minutes, and I've just drained it, returned it to the saucepan, and I'm going to add the butter. 225 grams of butter. That's one reason why this cake is so good. It does have quite a bit of butter in it. So let's pop the butter in. You see, just sort of stir it in around there and leave it to melt. So the coolness of the butter will start to cool the fruit down, and we need to wait though until it's quite cool before we start adding the eggs. So I just leave that like that, give it a stir occasionally, wander back when you're doing something else and give it another stir. So it takes about half an hour really to get it cool enough to start adding the other ingredients. If you're in a hurry, give it a quick stir to melt the butter and then put it somewhere to cool, like in a sink of cold water. You see the butter is almost melted completely now, and so you could tip this into another bowl, one that's a bit bigger and cooler, to cool it down a bit more quickly, or as I said, just pop it into a sink of cold water. So while the fruit and butter mixture has been cooling down, I've beaten 3 eggs together with some sugar. Now one thing I've changed over the years is the amount of sugar that I've put in the cake. 20-30 years ago we used a lot more sugar than we do today. So I'm probably using a half to a third of the original amount of sugar. 3 eggs and 200 grams of sugar today. And I also add a little bit of almond essence, particularly because my husband likes that. But you could add lemon essence or any other flavouring, vanilla, orange rind, lemon rind, all sorts of flavourings if you wish, and spices. So I'm going to tip in the fruit and the butter mixture. Just tip the whole lot in. Give that a little bit of a mix. And then add the flour. 350 grams of flour sifted with 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So just mix that all together. One of the reasons that we don't add the eggs to the fruit mixture when it's still hot is that starts to coagulate the eggs and changes the whole nature of the recipe. So you don't want to do that. You want to make sure the fruit is cool before you add the eggs. Well, I think that's just about well mixed. There we are. Now I've got a 23 centimetre cake tin, which is lined and greased. And let's pop it into the tin, spread it out. Sometimes I put preserved ginger in, that makes it really nice, and you could add spices as well. Right, so spread it out in the tin. And today I'm going to just add a few slivered almonds to the top. Because it's not a cake that I ever ice, so it's quite a simple one, but this gives it a nice crunchy topping. Now I'm going to place in the oven at 180 degrees and bake for 1 hour 20 up to 1.5 hours. It's done. It just struck me as I brought it out of the oven that some sort of glaze would look really good on the top of this cake, and so I remembered I had a citrus glaze in the fridge, so I'm just going to brush some over the top, and I'm just going to leave it now to cool in the tin.